Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Hunting Illinois podcast. I'm Jason. With me today, we have Dan and Curtis. How's it going,
Hey,
guys?
hey
Today,
everybody.
we're going to be talking about the upcoming turkey season. So, we have some new data that came out. We're going to look at the outlook on how good the season might be. And then also, we're going to talk about if there's any more tags left, if you haven't gotten your tags yet, because that turkey lottery is in the fall. So, if you're still looking to get out, we're going to give you some tips on how to find some public land still available and some over the counter tags that are still out there. And we'll tell you how to find those. So, first off, guys, you want to talk a little bit about a season outlook?
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about what 2024 season's going to look like. First off, we got to address the elephant in the room when it comes to Illinois turkey season. We get a short season, right? We draw a tag, we've got a limited number of days. The biggest outlook for a lot of us is probably going to be weather. What are we going to get? I know for me, I've been watching some videos, some turkey hunting videos from Illinois, getting ready for this season, getting excited. And you see in some where, okay, I've got 4 or 5 days to hunt and got thunderstorms, bad rain for 3 of those days. So really, I'm kind of cut down to 1 or 2 days to hunt. So while we're going to be giving you the overall season outlook, keep in mind that weather and the conditions right around your season are probably going to be the biggest thing to impact your hunt this year. But that considered, it should be a really good year for a lot of turkey hunters this year. We're really positive about turkey season this year, and it's for a couple different reasons, and really not just this year, but for the foreseeable future. So we're coming off 2 or 3 years where from the poult survey, we've seen very positive poult per hen results, which indicates a population that's going up. And a lot of those birds that are harvested in the spring are either the 2-year-old birds makes up the biggest percentage, and also the jakes. So the first year these birds are running around and starting to think they're real turkeys. So good production is obviously usually means good hunting for turkey hunters, and we have now 3 years of good production back to back, with last summer being the best by as indicated by these Poult surveys data. So that's really good. Not only that, but this year we've got the emergence of a couple of the cyclical cicada populations. So I think we've got a, what is it, a 13 year and a 17 year, or
Yep,
yeah,
you got it.
13
13 to
and
17.
17 year,
Yep.
and pretty much the entirety of the state except the very little southern section there. And that's good news for turkeys, right? Because turkeys love to eat insects when insects are high, especially the young turkeys. Insects are an awesome food for them. Full of protein, full of good stuff that's going to turn them into big, robust turkeys able to survive the Illinois winter that they know is coming. And cicadas, the nice thing about them, it's practically a never-ending food source. So I remember in years where we've had really good cicada blooms, where you see cicadas all over everything. You go fishing, you throw them cicadas out, you're going to get a bite right now, because they're just such. I'm tempted to eat them too. Everything wants to eat them. I might fry some up and eat them this year. They must be pretty tasty. So anyway, we've got a perfect storm. If we do get good weather, which means we don't want to have cold or a lot of rain during basically the nesting season and when the poults are really young. If we can avoid that, we're in good shape to have another really good, successful year. And hopefully, not only just this year, but maybe hopefully 2 or 3 really positive turkey seasons yet to come. So I don't know. There's sunny skies, I think, coming for turkey hunters if we luck out with weather here, guys.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
for
I
sure.
kind of want to expand a little bit on that turkey brood survey that you brought up, because that's such an interesting, what we call citizen science project, where data is collected by just normal Illinois citizens while they're out in the field, and that data really does inform DNR on these management decisions, and that's how we can immediately tell that we had a great brood year last summer, like Curtis talked about. So I highly recommend, if you're spend a lot of time in the field, particularly through, let's say, June through August. That's what they're really looking for their brood survey data. We'll drop a link in the description, because Jason actually did a podcast with Luke Garver, the Wild Turkey Project manager. I believe it was last spring, right after the season, kind of getting in prep for this survey. But it's a great opportunity to get involved, while you're out there. It doesn't take much. It's really just recording what you see when you're out there. Number of hens, number of toms, number of poults, and then you list what county you're in. And that's the nice thing is it used to be a written process that was a little bit more cumbersome, but now it's an electronic survey that you can find on their website. So I highly recommend looking into that if you're interested in participating in that survey, because the more data they get, the better informed decisions can be made from that data.
You took the words right out of my mouth, Dan. I was about ready to cite how we interviewed Luke last year, probably last May, and he was saying that we had a good. I mean, talk about last year too. We had a record high since I think 2011. We had over 14,000 turkeys taken, which is one of the best in over a decade. And then he was all excited because he had the electronic turkey survey coming out, and it turns out they got really good numbers on that. And before it used to be a postcard, like Dan said, it was right in. So having that more data, allows them to figure out what's going on a lot better, and has them focus on habitat management across the state and everything else. And tag allocation, it just feeds into everything. And then yeah, so I mean now we have the cicadas coming this summer, so hopefully that just keeps building and building, and we're going to see a couple good years of turkey here.
And we should also mention to prepare for this podcast, we read an article that Luke put together for the Illinois Outdoor Journal all about the 2024 season outlook. So definitely recommend you check that out. Luke Garver, he's the turkey guy in Illinois, and we're echoing a lot of his comments from that article. So he's very hyped up and very positive about the 2024 season. And if we get that good weather, like we hope we might, then hopefully it's going to be a good season for a lot of us out there.
Yep, and
Absolutely.
we'll link that article as well in the description notes for the video as well. So definitely check that out. So okay, Dan, you had some other input you'd like to add in?
Yeah, so I mean, we're at a time of the year where the turkey lotteries have concluded. They're closed down, so we're kind of at a stage where most people would go, "Oh crap, I didn't draw a permit. I guess I'm kind of out of options." But there are quite a few options that are still available if you weren't successful in drawing either a site-specific permit or the county permit that you wanted. So we just kind of wanted to spend some time really talking through some of these options, talking about kind of the pros and cons of each options, and how you as a hunter can just go and try some of these opportunities. So I think the first one we should probably kind of touch on is the Illinois Recreational Access Program. So this is, in my opinion, one of the more unique and successful kind of public land hunting opportunities programs. And we're starting to see a lot of other states doing similar type programs. But essentially what it is a private landowner comes to an agreement with DNR and says, hey, I want to allow my public to be open for public hunting. And so what it does is, we all know in Illinois, what do we have? 2.7% of the total land mass is publicly owned. The rest is private. And so this can potentially open up a lot more access. And there's a lot more every year getting enrolled in IRAP. The total acreage is just growing and growing. The number of counties is growing and growing. So keep this on your radar, not just for spring turkey hunting, but for deer hunting, for small game hunting, for upland hunting, for waterfowl. There's a lot of different recreation opportunities through the IRAP program. Now, what's really interesting about the IRAP program specifically for turkey is, since it's on private land, you get to use a county level tag, right? So you're not beholden to the site specific permits like you would be if say you're hunting Clinton Lake State Recreation Area or something. You're applying for a permit for that specific site. And those are largely all gone by the first lottery. There may be a few stragglers that kind of hang on through the second lottery, but they're pretty much all gobbled up at that point. But what's nice about these county level tags is there's such a tag allotment that in many cases there's still quite a bit of county level tags available even after the third lottery closes. So I do want to kind of emphasize these go for sale on a first come, first served basis starting on March 12th. So as we record this on March 6th, we're just a few short days away. But on the Illinois Recreational Access Program, and we'll kind of throw it up on the screen here, you can see the number of sites that still have openings and still have opportunities, as well as the number of county level tags that are still available for that specific county. And so this is kind of a good highlighting of just some more opportunities, some more options that you can do with an over-the-counter tag that you just go buy at any licensed vendor. I highly recommend, if you want to go this route, plan on doing it March 12th, the day they go for sale, because again, it is first come, first served, and they do occasionally get gobbled up pretty quick. So keep that in mind. But it's a really great program. And the nice thing about the IRAP program is if you obtain an IRAP permit, you basically get access to that private land by yourself. No one, no other hunting group will be out there. No other hunters will be out there. No other recreationalists will be out there. And so you kind of have a little piece of the pie all to yourself. Now, I do want to emphasize that not only do you have to obtain the county level permit, but you also have to obtain the IRAP permit, which is also a first come, first serve. And that's why I highly recommend, if you're interested in turkey hunting and IRAP this year, get out to that licensed vendor as early as you can on March 12th and be there when they open. Get your tag and then immediately go to the IRAP website and go through that process. And we'll put a link down in the description to the IRAP website, but it's kind of a long URL. So the easiest way is honestly just to Google Illinois Recreational Access Program. Their main landing page will pop up, and just scroll down a little bit and you'll see a whole list of different thumbnails that have different recreation types, whether it's deer hunting, small game hunting, upland hunting, and just click on turkey hunting, and all that information that you need will be right there on the process of the IRAP and how to obtain a permit. And what's really good is the staff with the IRAP program are excellent at answering questions. So if you have any other questions, maybe it's procedural about how to apply, definitely reach out to them. And again, I recommend reaching out to them before March 12th so that you can already understand the process a little bit if you have clarifying questions. That way, when it goes live, you're ready to get your application in right away.
So again, just to clarify, Dan, so you're saying that you want to go and reach out to IRAP staff, kind of understand the process for the
If you
land
have
that you're
questions,
interested in.
the website
Yeah.
they have is very, very detailed and very specific. So if you read through the material that they present, you shouldn't have any questions. But if you do, reach out to them before the 12th is my recommendation.
Okay. And then get an over-the-counter county level tag for the area that IRAP site's in that you're interested in going for.
Correct.
And then go online. And then once the 12th comes, you can apply online for the IRAP site that you're interested in.
Yep. So if I was doing it how
Yep.
I would do it, I would go to my local license vendor, which for me is Walmart. They're the closest option to me that sells tags. I would be there standing at the counter when they open. So I'm either first or fourth in line, whatever, obtain my buy that county level permit, go home and immediately apply for IRAP. And again, we'll kind of flash this table up on the screen that shows how many IRAP sites are available in each county. There are a few counties that have 11 sites, some that have 10. Those are probably the ones I would try to strive for, just playing the numbers a little bit. Obviously, if everybody does that, then some of those with just one or two, opportunities may still be available. So you do have to kind of play that game a little bit. But again, we're going to show you this data, show you how many county permits are still available, how many IRAP sites are still available in that county. And I should emphasize these are third and fourth season hunts. So those are the two season segments that they conduct on IRAP. So that's kind of what you're shooting for, is those third and fourth OTC permits.
Yeah. So so that starts when you go to the over-counter permit. You want to get that for that segment for that county.
Yep. Like, let's say, just for instance, Greene County has 11 IRAP fourth season remaining sites. They have 112 county level tags for Greene County for the fourth segment. So I would go buy a Greene County fourth segment tag, come home, apply for one of those IRAP sites in Greene County for the fourth season segment that my tag is valid for.
Very good. Cool. Are there any other opportunities that are available besides IRAP?
Yeah, there's actually quite a few. One of the big ones I'll just kind of mention right up front, the Shawnee National Forest. We'll kind of come back to that one in a little bit, but there are quite a few sites across Illinois, public sites that are owned or managed by Illinois DNR, that you can actually use a county level tag with. The vast majority of sites obviously are site specific permits where you're obtaining a permit for a specific site, but there are DNR sites that allow a county level tag. The easiest, most effective way to identify those sites is to go in the very back of the digest. They have an entire section called public hunting areas where they have it looks like a cumbersome table when you just first glance at it, but I tell you, there's a wealth of information there if you spend a few minutes just kind of looking at that table and understanding what it's saying. But let's say you're in Region 4. You can go back to that section on Region 4. It's got a list of every single DNR site in that specific region. And if you go to the spring turkey column, you can look down and it will either say a C, which means a county level tag can be used, or an S, which means it's got to be a site specific permit, or a D, which means there are disabled hunting opportunities. And so again, there's a wealth of information there. So some of those DNR sites can be hunted using a county level tag. And the easiest way to identify those sites is going through that public hunting areas section at the very back of the digest. Now, I should give a caveat. That does not mean there are not additional procedures in place for that specific site that may restrict participation. They may have a sign in or sign out page where they only allow 5 hunters per day. So check those site specific regulations on huntillinois.org for a site that you identify that has a county level tag, just to make sure you understand all the specific procedures about that individual site.
Very
So
good.
in the back of the digest, looking for C's.
Looking for C's.
Remember what is the old rhyme? It's like C's get degrees. Just
There you
remember
go.
C's get turkeys, right? That works too, right? A little bit. If there's county level tags available.
Right.
Right.
And again, that's another thing that we'll kind of highlight and we'll flash up on the screen and also have a link down in the show notes for, is there's also a master list. So we talked about this IRAP list that identifies counties with IRAP sites that have remaining tags. There's also a master list of every county in the state, and it shows how many tags are available for each segment. So you can kind of, do some quick analysis to figure out, oh, that one I can hunt with the county tag, where there's still county tags available, and you can usually find kind of a marriage between a few sites there.
Yeah,
Very
you
good.
mentioned the Shawnee. We were hoping to get permits for the Shawnee after the drawing to go down there and hunt with some mentees, but they were all gone. So
They went quick this year. Yeah.
they did, yeah. But our mentees got tagged, so at least somebody will be hunting. We'll be mushroom hunting and calling.
Yeah,
Yep.
and I should clarify just a little bit there, Curtis. There are still quite a few tags for the Shawnee. It's just we are going down for the, I think, second segment. I think
Yeah, the
that's
early season.
mentored. So I actually kind of came up with a quick list here of a few counties that have Shawnee National Forest ground in them that still have quite a few permits. So this is another option. Again, there's a lot more ground here. I really just kind of picked the 4 counties that have the most Shawnee National Forest in their counties and that still have some permits. So Pope County, which is where we will actually be for the second segment, segment 4 still has 69 permits. Segment 5 still has 234. Jackson County, segment 5 has 44 permits. Union County, segment 5 has 80. Alexander, segment 4 has 1 permit, so good luck to that one, and then 71 permits for segment 5. So there's still additional opportunity down there. It's just going to be skewing a little bit later in the season, which for me, I don't know about you guys, I kind of like the late season hunts a little bit. They're a little bit more challenging, but what I've also found, and see if you guys kind of share a similar experience, it's like the toms at that point have already either bred or the hens in that area have already been bred, and so they're just not as interested. And I feel like I see a lot more toms covering a lot more ground later in the season than I do in maybe segment 1 or 2.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe.
There's still gobbling out there. I mean, I've had fifth season the past 2 years. I got a bird on the last day, 2 years ago, and I should have had a bird on the last day last year. No,
And
man,
I drew a segment 5 this year, so I'm looking
yeah,
forward to that.
they're gobbling still. I mean, they're still out there, and we have a couple good sites around us that have some good populations on them. So we've been pretty lucky with that too. So we may be getting spoiled. I don't know, but I've been having luck. So they're out there. If you're in the woods,
Yep.
you got a chance. If you're hearing them,
Exactly. Take what you can get. Fifth season is better than no season. Personally, I do prefer the early seasons only because it's generally a little bit cooler. And
Sure.
I prefer to hunt in cooler weather, just a selfish reason. I run hot. I would rather it be cold outside than hot anytime. So I'm like, oh my gosh, fifth season. I'm gonna, camo paint my whole body and go out there in just my boxers, I feel like, because it's so hot. But so that's the reason I like the early season, but definitely you can have success throughout the entirety of the season, and it's different hunting through it, and you never know when is going to be peak Morel mushroom. So it could be first season, could be fifth season, could be third season, but it's always better to be in the woods than just to be sitting around in your couch. So if you can get a turkey tag, go for it, right?
And I like that you brought up
telling us
Morel.
there's a chance.
Yeah.
There's
And
a
I
few
like that
there.
you brought up Morels because that, for me, that's one of the most appealing parts of like a hunt down in the Shawnee National Forest. Obviously, with turkey hunting, we're done hunting at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. The days are getting longer. It's not getting dark till much later. It's not getting dark at 4:30 like we're just kind of got done dealing with. And there's a lot of other recreation opportunities while you're down there, whether it's just wildlife viewing, whether it's hiking. I mean, especially if you're from anywhere, in the upper two-thirds portion of Illinois, it's pretty flat. And just being able to see some of the terrain of the Shawnee National Forest, the foraging options like you were talking about with morels, the fishing opportunities, the wildlife viewing, the hiking, the camping. I mean, there's a lot of opportunities to make it more than just a turkey hunt. And so you can really have, kind of a unique special experience down there. And I know Curtis, you've been diving quite a bit into the camping options down there. Can you touch on that a little bit and just kind of show and talk about some of the different options available?
Yeah, well, the first thing I got to echo is that really is a destination, and yeah, we even we're all guilty of it. We get to thinking, oh, we know Illinois, right? We drive across Illinois. It's cornfields, and every once in a while there's a river and a little bit of woods, and that's where we spend all of our time, right? But no, it's a completely different world down there, and we've even with our mentees been calling it like this is basically Illinois' version of Montana. We're going to Illinois' version of Montana and hunting Illinois' version of elk. And that's what it is. We're going to the Illinois mountains and hunting a mini little version of elk. And the reason we say that is turkey is so interactive. It's that one type of hunting where you're calling, the bird's calling back. It's a two-way communication. Unlike ducks, it generally one way, or with deer where it's zero way, you're just an ambush predator. But really, really fun. So yeah, talking about down there, that's the coolest thing to me is just seeing the topography, the river, the hills, the valleys, the getting to an area and not being able to see for 10 miles because it's not just flat cornfields all around you is awesome. And they've got some, I mean, just world-class destinations down there, which, yeah, I haven't been down there yet, but I'm excited to see the famed Snake Road, a road that's so famous for its snake migrations that they shut the road down for a period of time in the spring so that basically the snakes and even other reptiles and amphibians can travel across this road and not get ran over. And a lot of people go down there just to hike and see and photograph all the critters running around.
I
But
want to I want to stop you and kind of interject a little bit on the Snake Road just to highlight like the importance of it. Like it's such a spectacle that I was down there probably 2 or 3 years ago, camping, going down there to walk the Snake Road and to see all the different rattlesnakes, the cottonmouths, the rough green snake. I mean the diversity and the quantity is absurd. But we ran into people from Canada. There was some people who flew in from Australia. Like this is a world-renowned place that people travel to. So I just wanted to really echo that sentiment, Curtis, that it's an experience that you'll never forget. And I mean, we're not even talking about the land structures like Garden of the Gods or just some of these really beautiful parts of the Shawnee.
I remember growing up in Philadelphia and watching either on Discovery Channel or Animal Planet, someone had an episode on the Snake Road,
Mm.
and I mean it was awesome. I remember being like middle school, maybe freshman in high school somewhere in the mid 2000s, and being like, "Holy cow, what is this place? That's crazy!" And then they showed us, and it's a lot of like venomous snakes and things that you don't
It,
really
it, it
see
is,
in
yes.
your garden around like a garter snake or something like that. I mean, there's a lot of different species down there that utilize that wetland area.
And the nice thing is if you're shy of snakes, we're just talking about like one specific area. And just to give you a little perspective, it's basically a long gravel road that throughout the year people just drive on. It's just a normal road, but like Curtis said, they close it down because there's essentially a migration. If you never really thought of a reptile migration, apparently they happen. But on one side of the road is this big bluff face that really acts as a hibernacula. So it's where all these reptiles and some amphibians go for the winter. And as it starts warming up, they cross the road back into the swamp. And it's this really unique experience that you really only see in the Shawnee. But that's just one example of some of the recreation opportunities, some of the wildlife viewing down there. I mean, it is a special place.
it seems like everywhere you go, there's something picturesque that basically it's hard to believe that it's right here in Illinois when you see it. So, and that's everywhere you go. You
Mm.
mentioned Garden of the Gods. You got the Bell Smith Springs area and the Jackson Falls area that we've kind of been scouting around when we're deciding where we may want to camp while we're hunting or hunting with mentees down there. And holy cow, I mean, it's reminiscent of when I was looking at places to camp in Montana. I mean, no joke. Obviously it's not the Rocky Mountains, but it's beautiful. It's picturesque, and it's yeah. Sometimes we get stuck in the cornfield desert, and we forget that there is a lot of beautiful things in Illinois. Just sometimes you gotta travel, and in this case, you gotta go so far south you're almost not in Illinois. But hey, it's still ours. We got it. It
Yep.
counts.
Yep. So for camping wise, Curtis, so you saw there's a couple campgrounds down there, and then there's also primitive campsites that you can kind of hike into and pop up wherever.
Yeah, so that's the nice thing I would say about the Shawnee is it offers you diversity. I like diversity. It does have some campgrounds that offer some nice amenities, right? You got flush toilets. Some of them even have showers. Maybe even they have hot water sometimes. Part of the year, I wouldn't count on that all year. But they do have those campgrounds. The one bummer is they don't accept reservations. So it is a first come, first served, but you can take a little comfort in the fact that the Shawnee National Forest does allow, it has areas of dispersed camping, and then it also allows primitive camping. So the difference between those two, if you're not sure, is dispersed camping means that you can camp anywhere, so there's not specific camping spots, but they do have some amenities specifically for campers. Usually that's a bathroom, maybe a flush toilet, might be a pit toilet, but hey, a bathroom is better than no bathroom, right? Because when it comes to primitive camping, that means that just anywhere in the Shawnee National Forest, you can hike in and camp as long as you follow a few rules, which are you can't be on a waterway and you've got to be so far away from certain natural areas. But in just the normal area of the Shawnee National Forest, you can hike in with your backpacking gear and camp. And I actually watched a couple of the turkey hunting videos where that's what they did. They were out in the evening listening for birds. Oh, I heard a bird 2 miles that way, still on public land. Well, guess what? I'm going to walk about a mile and a half and camp there. So when I wake up, I've only got a half mile to go to get to that bird. That's kind of nice that, that option does exist down there. So a lot of different ways you can camp, a lot of different ways you can recreate. Basically, what are you waiting for? Get out of the city, get down in southern Illinois, and feast your eyes on some of this cool stuff that we have down there.
And I do want to touch on just a few kind of safety things that are probably worth mentioning because you're hunting a big, expansive forest. If you were to ever get lost in Illinois, this is probably the one place you actually could. So spend some time studying maps, using your GPS on your phones. There's a lot of different mobile apps these days. You know, when I first started hunting, I hunted some big tracts of land in Kentucky and Tennessee, and I bought one of the handheld GPSs at the time that was like $200. You had to pay for a map card to enter it, and it was this whole process. Now my phone can do all of that for me. So know where you're at. Don't just go, like Curtis said, hear a bird 2 miles away. If you make a play on that bird, just take conscious note of what direction you're going to and just make sure you always know where you are and where roads are and that kind of thing. I also find it important when you're hunting a big, expansive kind of piece of ground like that to let somebody know where you're going to be, A, where you're going to potentially camp, and C, when to expect you to return, so that there's always kind of that final deadline where, oh, they're not here yet. Okay, well, maybe I'll give them an extra hour or two, but that way there's always somebody who has an expectation of when to expect you back or when to expect you to contact them and say, yep, I'm on my way home, that kind of thing. That goes a long way, and especially for a big, expansive piece of public like the Shawnee. One other thing I always mention, and I'm always a big proponent of, obviously with turkey hunting, we're not wearing blaze orange. Turkey have incredible eyesight, so we're decked out in full camo. Now, when I'm up moving around on public land, I normally will throw a blaze orange hat on my head just to give me a little bit more safety. I know a lot of the new turkey vests these days have a little orange patch that you can kind of unroll and expose as you're kind of moving around. But having a little bit of blaze orange on your person when you're up and moving is not a bad idea and is probably a pretty good idea when you're hunting a big piece of public land like that.
Yeah, just going back to the maps, a lot of those downloadable apps now have downloadable maps as well. So if you don't have service, those downloadable maps allow you to still see where you're at on a map, even without self service. So that,
Yeah, because you should
it,
still have GPS service. So
yep. So that's what you were paying the $200 for back in the day. That your
exactly.
app just does that now. I mean, there might be a subscription for those maps, but
Which most of them have a free trial. So if you're going down there, you could just try the free trial for the month and cancel
yep.
it when you get back.
Exactly. So definitely looking at downloading your maps first before heading out in the field, so that way you're not stuck trying to get to the top of a hill to try to find signal or something.
Yeah. And now, if you are interested in the Shawnee hunting, the one thing I'll give really good credit to is they have a really good website that goes through the entire process that talks about what you can do, where you can do it, how you can do it, when you can do it. The nice thing is it's very much in line with statewide regulations. But if you just Google Shawnee National Forest hunting, that'll pull you up right on the agency's website that has all that information if you want a little bit more clarification. So definitely spend some time reading through that before you make the journey down south.
And we'd be remiss when talking about safety not to mention tick safety. Make sure you treat all your gear, clothing, permethrin, especially gear. You know, if you're setting
Yeah.
down to pack any of that stuff, all that can attract ticks. And turkey season is tick central. So practice all of your tick precaution for turkey season, which includes spraying all your stuff, but also really checking yourself as soon as you get out of the woods, throwing all of your clothes, gear, if you can, into a hot dryer to kill everything. Because yeah, the diseases you can get from those ticks are no joke. I mean, I think it'd be fairly tough to get lost in Shawnee, but you can definitely get some ticks that are going to give you some stuff that are going to be with you for a decade or two. Because one nice thing about turkey season is it does close at 1 o'clock. So I think the easiest way to get lost is deer season, when you're hunting all the way till dark and then you try
Sure,
to
sure.
walk out. At least in turkey hunting, you're never walking out in the dark. You may be walking in there in the dark and you may wind up into some who knows where you are places, but at least for the most part, you're walking out on the way back. And they are pretty expansive, but it is still Illinois. I think you'd be hard pressed to find any area where you're less than a mile from a road. So if
As
you can,
long as you can walk in a straight line, which is difficult for a lot of people, especially in the woods, but if you can walk in a straight line, you'll eventually find a road, that's for sure.
yeah, the trick is you got to find something far away to focus on, because obviously everything close is changing. So if you can see the sun, that's the spot. If it's not a
Hmm.
sun, can you see a tower, a radio tower anyway? As long as you have something far away to orient yourself so you know that you're not walking in a big circle or walking into some marsh where you're just going to get further and further away, then you're in pretty good shape. Don't want to scare people away from the area too much, but definitely got to and bring water, because it's hot in
Lots
the
of it.
spring too. And that's the biggest thing, is once you get dehydrated, you get confused. And I've been that way before when I was hiking down canyons on the Channel Islands, where I injured my leg, spilled all my water, and I got confused. I actually climbed up the wrong side of the canyon. You know, I
Mm.
had done this 100 times. My truck's over here. I'm like narrowly needing a rescue out of this canyon, and I climb up the wrong side. It was a horrible mistake. I made it back to the right side, obviously, but it was all because I was dehydrated. I got up there and oh, my truck's on the other. How did that even happen? And I never would have thought I would have made that mistake. But when you're dehydrated, your brain doesn't work right.
Yeah.
So yeah, stay
Yep.
hydrated. Pack
Stay
your snacks
hydrated.
and your Gatorades and your waters.
And
And
like
if you
Curtis said, bring more water than you think. Because again, you may be camping at a campground, but it may not be potable water. So bring more water than you think you would ever need is my big recommendation.
And they make really affordable water filters now that you can go get at any like REI or camping store or even a Walmart. They might have like a one of those Life Straws or Sawyer Squeezes or any other name brand water filters nowadays. They're all good and lightweight for backpacking. So definitely
And
bring
for,
that
for
just in
turkey hunting,
case.
I'm a big fan of the hydration bladders too. And
Hmm.
especially these days, you can get some off-brand ones for, I think I bought one. I think it's Ozark Trail, which is like the Walmart brand. But I
Yep.
think I literally got it for like $15, where, a name brand like a Camelback may have been 40 or 50 at the time.
Hmm. Especially old school when they first came out, man. Those things were all expensive.
Yes, they were. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and
Yep.
so hard to clean that I felt like they were basically
Yeah.
disposable. So I much prefer the cheaper options.
Same.
'Cause, yeah, that whole tube system is what do you do once it's dirty? It's almost impossible to clean.
Just seems
Mm.
like a mold breeding ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never really had one, but yeah. All right. So another way to do it if you're scared to walk in the woods, honestly, is go from parking lot if no one's there and give a call and see if anything calls back, and then that way you're never walking too far in any direction, so you can always be mobile that way. It's such a large piece of land. As long as you're within the county you got the tag for,
Yep.
you can move around that way too. So there's a lot of different ways
And
to
I, and
attack
I,
it.
I just since you brought up locator calling, I highly recommend when you're hunting a big, and even for me when I'm hunting any public land, I'm not using a gobble call. There are a lot of people who will use gobble calls in their turkey repertoire. When I'm hunting public land, 9 times out of 10, when I used that call when I was first getting into turkey hunting, all it did was bring other hunters to me. So I'm a big fan of a hoot owl or a crow or just slamming your car door if you're really at a parking lot. A lot of times that can get you that shot gobble response too.
Yep. Or a couple yelps always too if you don't have any of the other
Mhm.
calls. So just start yelping and see if anything calls back to you. Cool.
But
All
there
right.
are there are there
Go ahead.
more are or there are more opportunities outside of just the Shawnee. I think one big one that
Mhm.
over time has become a little bit more challenging to obtain is private land permission. Now, the nice thing about turkey hunting is it's not deer. Deer for me has been by far the hardest to get private land permission to the point that I don't even hunt private land anymore just because it's not worth, the time for me. I'm quite successful on public land, so I just kind of roll with that. But with turkey, you may have a little bit more chance at getting permission. And the nice thing is, especially as we get closer and closer to the season, these turkeys are going to be out where you can actually see them from roads. And so one of a really good strategy can be just driving around some areas that have, forest with prairie adjacent and just driving along some of those fields and see if you happen to see toms out there strutting either first thing in the morning or late in the evening, and just start to make some mental notes of those and try to go and obtain permission. That is certainly an option. I know we had a colleague who used to work for us, Adam. He was quite good at that. He was quite good at getting permission, especially for turkey. Deer was always a little bit more challenging, but turkey seems to be a little bit easier. And maybe deer is your ultimate goal, but maybe you use turkey to start kind of building that relationship with the landowner. But don't look past, trying to obtain some private land permission.
Yep. That one's great with turkey and I think pigeon too. I think you've got a couple good access points for pigeon
Oh
and
yeah,
dove too.
sure.
Yeah. So great foot in the door species to get started with for sure. So yeah, so we got IRAP, you got county level tags at certain state run sites that have county level tags, and then you also have the national forest, and then you also have county level tags for private land access as well.
And then
So
I
those
got
are
one more for you.
okay. What's the last one?
So
That's
this
gonna be
one, I'm
five.
not. There's five. Yep.
That's
There's our
crazy.
title right there. Right
There you
there.
go. Five other ways to get turkey permits if you haven't gotten one yet. Yep.
Now, I don't want to give out specific counties that do this because it's been some time since I refreshed my memory. I always hear about them kind of off the cuff. They're never widely publicized. They're normally kind of hidden on a county's website. But there are some county level, whether it's the Parks Department, whether it's a forest preserve district, there are a lot of these counties that own a decent amount of land that also allow some hunting. So I know we have one, within 2 hours of us, we have three or four counties that have their own hunting program. How do they conduct it? They rely on you getting a county level tag, and then they have their own separate lottery to kind of wean that down and ensure they're not, sending too many hunters out there at once. But look into some of the forest preserve districts around you, look into some of the local county park districts. There's land ownership there, and if somebody owns the land, they may allow hunting. So
Awesome.
And for one more additional bonus option, this might be the most expensive option, but let's face it, it is an option. If you have trouble in Illinois, there are always other states. If you cross that line and go into another state, you are now abiding by a different set of laws. In Wisconsin, if you've never hunted there before, your first hunting license in Wisconsin is half off. So it definitely is way more expensive to buy non-resident permits than resident, but at least you get half off your first time. And Wisconsin has a good deal of public land, even in the southern portion. And most of their public land you can use just the normal Theirs aren't county tags; they're more regional tags. But yeah, Region 1, Region 2, you get it, and you can hunt any area in that entire region, which generally includes several public land areas. So that's Wisconsin. And on the other side, then we've got Missouri, a state also known for good turkey hunting. There they have a completely different season format, and it might be a little bit more difficult to get out on public land sites in Missouri, um, but they do have more freedom with their season. You buy a tag in Missouri, and then you have an entire 3 weeks to hunt. So you may hunt the first week, the second week, the third week. You can kind of pick when you go, but you get a lot of flexibility in how you do it there. So while it might be a little bit more expensive, if you run into headaches in Illinois, you can look in other states, and for a few more dollars, you may at least get a chance to hunt.
And just to be honest, there's a lot of turkey hunters that normally hit 3 or 4 states each year. That's kind of a really big thing for turkey hunters is going and hunting some non-resident states. I mean, so much so that there's a whole, I don't want to say a competition, but there's these different like groups like the Grand Slam. So that means you're killing 4 separate subspecies of turkey because while here in the Midwest, we have the eastern wild turkey. In different portions of the country, we have different subspecies of turkey that look different, that act different, that you're going to hunt different because you're in different habitat types. So turkey is one of those really unique species that you can really become almost a specialist at, and you can really travel across the country and try a lot of different hunting styles, a lot of different habitat types, and even trying to hunt different subspecies of turkeys. They're all somewhat similar, but they all look just a little bit different. They're all cool.
Yep, and they generally are more affordable tags than going and trying to do a grand slam on like a deer or something like that. So you got that
Oh,
going for you too.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
So that's what's
A
another
little
thing
bit
that
more
makes it
feasible
possible.
too.
Yeah, it's like going and catching a bass in every state.
Yeah, because the nice thing about turkey is once you figure out your strategy, and for me, a lot of it is being able to use vocalizations and calls at the right time and watching the birds that are in front of you's reaction to how they're reacting to those calls. And once you start to make that connection in your head, all this is applicable elsewhere. Once you hear a turkey gobble, you're already in the zone and you're already well on your way to put together a strategy for that. So I think that's one of the reasons I love turkey hunting so much is it's not a science. It's very much an art. And you're like, I think Curtis described it perfect. It's the Midwest elk hunt. There's not many species in the Midwest that you get to call at and that they call back to you.
Yeah, very interactive, fun. Yeah. If duck hunting wasn't so dang fun, turkey hunting would be my favorite because it is so interactive. You can even add the decoy aspect if you want. I'm not a decoy person myself, but you can add that if you like that. And yeah, it's so mobile. It's always something going on. The communication is two-way, and most of the time you're not sitting still for a long time. Now I have had hunts where I have had to sit still for a long time where turkeys are out in a field or something, and that has happened. But most of the time you're sitting, you're moving, you're sitting, you're moving, you're sitting, you're moving. It's my type of hunting.
And I tell you what, if you've never been set up in the woods as the sun starts to rise and hear the forest and the prairie wake up and every different vocalization is a different species, it is such an experience. And then all of a sudden the turkeys start gobbling and you hear gobble there, gobble there, gobble. It really is a magical experience that I think every hunter, even if deer is your bread and butter, maybe waterfowl or squirrel, give turkey hunting at least a solid try. Because I think even if you don't harvest a bird, I think you're going to have an experience that you'll remember for a long time. I really do believe that.
Dude, there's nothing like the spring woods.
There's nothing like
The
Yeah.
birds don't call like that in the fall. I mean, yeah. I mean, I when I was a kid, going back even before turkey hunting, when we were trout hunting, that's right, trout hunting. But trout fishing, opening day of trout season in Pennsylvania, I believe was April 1st or 15th. One of those days, I haven't hunting's on the mind. I haven't fished over there in a while, but I do remember going out with my dad. And it was one of the ones where we had to wait till about 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning before the first cast. And the main memory, people might have smells as memories that kick in, but for me, it's the bird calling. Whenever I hear that in the spring, I'm right back on that bank with my dad again, and it's just one of those things that you can't hear any other time of year. So I just love hearing that.
That's awesome.
Hmm.
Yeah, for me it's the whippoorwills. It's like In the morning, when you're getting ready to go, that's what's going. If you're in the whippoorwills, then if you get lucky, maybe a barred owl will start,
Hmm.
and that'll get the turkeys going. And then once the sun starts to pop up, every bird in the whole wood starts singing its song, and it's a melody that humans, we can't reproduce it. And it's crazy. I recently read a thing that it creates a vibration, a certain vibration that actually communicates with the surrounding plants, and it tells them to open their stomata. So the bird call in the morning actually helps plants to open their pores to do gaseous exchange at the right time. Isn't
I
that
love
crazy?
that. That's awesome.
Everything's connected. Crazy world we live in.
It is. And if you're interested in learning more on kind of the strategic aspects of hunting or what turkey hunting looks like, we have quite a few webinars coming up.
Hmm.
March 19th is our Turkey Hunting 101 webinar. That's very basic, where we're going over regulations. We're diving pretty deep into wild turkey behavior. And kind of what we both have, or all three have kind of hinted at here, is the importance of understanding, especially from a strategic hunting aspect, understanding that animal's behavior and how you can use that in your hunting. Because if you're brand new to turkey hunting, you probably have the role of turkey calling reversed in your head, I would say, according to what naturally occurs on the landscape. So naturally, is a tom trying, I'll ask you guys this, naturally, is a tom trying to call in a hen, or is a hen trying to call in a tom?
Tom's calling in the hen.
Yep.
Yep.
Completely reversed from what we're trying to do as hunters. And so we're almost trying to reverse this course in nature. So a tom's main job is to go out there, strut, puff out his feathers, and show off he's the most dominant, the most pretty, the most healthy, the most fit, for lack of a better term, out
Mhm.
there of the males, and to come breed with him. But as hunters, we're trying to almost reverse that. We're trying to tell that tom, no, we're not coming to you. You got to come to me. So understanding some of the nuances of that behavior and how they react to different vocalizations you're using can really help you put together a good strategy. And so we dive pretty deep into that on Turkey Hunting 101, which is on March 19th. On March 21st, which is a Thursday, we have a Turkey 102. So it's a direct follow up to 101. So you can attend both of them, or you can just attend 102. 102 is going to be very much focused on kind of the strategic aspect of things. So in
Mhm.
101, we're going to cover that behavior. We're going to cover those vocalizations. In 102, we're going to cover how to use that behavior, how to use those vocalizations in your hunt strategy. So really excited about both of those. On April 4th, which is the next a couple Thursdays away, we have a turkey calling and Q&A. So we're going to do a little turkey calling clinic where we're going to go over these vocalizations, how to produce them on various calls, probably dive a little bit into what the purpose of these vocalizations are, kind of like we do in 101 a little bit, but really focus on how do we reproduce these calls with, or these vocalizations with various calls. But at the end, we're going to open that up to Q&A. So if anyone has any strategic questions, really anything about turkey hunting, turkey behavior, turkey ecology, we're going to dive deep into those. On April 6th, we have a Learn to Hunt Turkey workshop. So this is an in-person event at Moraine Hills State Park. And on April 7th, the following day, we have scheduled a Learn to Hunt Turkey in-person workshop at Des Plaines State Fish and Wildlife Area. And so these are going to be a little bit more hands-on, a little bit more interactive. We're going to be, instead of just talking about turkey calling and talking about decoys, we're going to be setting them up. We're going to show you how to set up in the brush so that you can conceal yourself. We're going to go through a lot of that in a hands-on kind of way. So looking forward to those. So if you're interested in participating in any of those, just visit our website at learntohuntil.com. At the very top, you'll see an upcoming events tab. Click on that and it'll pull up our full calendar of our workshops, webinars, and all the fun things coming up.
Yeah. And I just want to point out, Dan, right now it actually says sold out for Turkey Hunting 101. So, folks, with using that web page, we're gonna probably end up having probably a duplicate event that
Yeah,
we're gonna
we'll
post.
we'll we'll figure out how
We'll
we
figure
need
that
to
out.
move that.
Yep.
Yeah, to get more people there. That's a good sign though. Good.
Yep, it is a great sign. So that means that a lot of people sign up for that. So just be aware that it's a webinar, so it's not going to be sold out. I just want to make that clear if you guys
Yeah,
go there
yeah.
right now. So we'll probably end up posting either a duplicate event or figuring out a workaround to get that. So just make sure you register that before March 19th. We'll have a way to get on there, and you can sign up for the Turkey Hunting 101 webinar.
And I should say, or we should say that we do post these to our YouTube channel once we're done with them. So even if you're unable to attend the live recording of that webinar, you can still certainly go back to our YouTube channel, watch through all that content. Maybe you're
Mhm.
sitting down and questions start to come up as you're watching the recording. Feel free to shoot us an email, lthillinois@gmail.com. Reach out to us through Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, however you want. We're more than happy to help and answer any questions you have.
Yep. And we do have some old webinars on YouTube already. So if you're really gung ho, you want to go look at some of our old ones. We are trying to get better at the formatting and bring in some more multimedia stuff, maybe some more videos and things like that. So that's why we keep doing them. And also, it's just good to have live events and interact with folks who might have questions. So uh, come join us if you have any questions. It would be great to talk to you guys live. All
And
right.
I tell you what,
Anything else?
this
Oh,
weather's
go ahead,
getting
Dan.
me fired up.
Oh yeah,
It's
dude.
getting warm. It's getting, yeah.
It's time to get fishing. I mean, I
It
gotta
is.
go
It
out
is.
here
It
in
is.
the old HOA pond and get me some bass real quick before they get smart.
Yeah, it's we've already had our first Morel mushroom confirmed in Illinois. I don't know if you guys saw that,
I
but
did.
yeah, that was
Wow.
all the way back. I think it was on either, what was it, the third or the second? It was really early
It
in
was
March.
last week. Yeah,
Yeah, somebody in, what was it, Perry County, or
I think
I
so.
think it was Perry County, took a picture of a little baby Morel. So it's
Wow.
it's already starting now. Most of Illinois, they're not going to be out yet, but we're getting into that neighborhood where soil temps are getting close. So if we get a few warm days, especially warm nights in a row, time to start hitting your early spots, folks.
Yep.
What's
And
warm?
not to
What's the
belabor the.
temperature to look for? Sorry. What's a good
No,
temperature
go
to look
ahead.
for overnight temperature? What is warm? Like over 50? Over
Yeah,
60?
yep. Because what the and so the best thing that I like to do is follow Morel mushroom groups on Facebook because they're gonna make sure you're keeping real on top of the phenology. But what they really look for is soil temperature in the top 4 inches of soil, and you want that to start to get close to 50. I believe it's 50 is when they really start popping. So yeah, when we get nighttime temperatures of above 50, that's when we're
In the
basically
money.
just skating on thin ice. We're gonna get there, and mushrooms gonna be popping up all over the place, and it's gonna be crazy madhouse. Everybody's
It'd be
running
great.
out there to get them. Excited. We did pretty good last year. We found quite a few on a couple public land sites, so we had a
Hmm.
decent year, and we've got a couple big hunts planned for this year. So we should hopefully hit it again this year pretty hard.
Yep.
Yep.
And not to belabor the point too much a little bit, I know we're kind of wrapping up here, but it's also really time to start doing some scouting. I'm a very big proponent for turkey scouting. Don't scout too early because they're very much still in kind of their winter range, their winter habits where they're in large flocks, kind of just moving around to where food availability is high. But with these warmer temperatures, you're going to start to see those toms and jakes start pulling away from those bigger flocks and start heading to their kind of spring breeding habitat areas and really starting to go off on their own. So that's when I'm really starting to think about turkey scouting. Now I don't do a ton of on the ground scouting. A lot of it's just kind of go out there, listen here if I hear gobbles. But I do want to emphasize after March 15th, you are not allowed to use turkey calls in the woods. You can use locator calls, so you can use your gobble, your hoot owl, your crow, other different locator calls, but you can't be out there with a mouth call or a diaphragm call disturbing those turkeys. So just kind of wanted to make that a point. But if you're interested in scouting for turkey, we're getting very close to when it's time to start doing that.
Cool. All right, boys. Uh I think that covers it. I think that's a solid. If I don't have a tag right now, I feel like that there's a chance you can go still get one for
There
sure.
is a
I mean, that's
there's always options.
yeah.
There sometimes they're a little more creative and they take a little bit more forethought and investigation, but there are opportunities out there.
Hmm. Awesome, awesome. All right. Well, I hopefully we see you all at some of our turkey events. If you have any questions, shoot us messages through Facebook or our website. We'll be happy to answer them for you. With that, we'll see you all next time. See you guys.
Awesome.